Garland in the corner. He's got it. Feed stand. Pow with the right hand. Mitchell shakes. Up to the basket. And thunders it home. Oh! Mobley throws it down. And Allen blocked the shot at the rim.
Welcome to the Chase Down Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Rowan. The Chase Down is presented by Fubo, the official streaming partner of the Cavs. Watch over 350 channels of live sports and TV, including FanDuel Sports Network without cable. There's no cost and no commitment. Try for free at FuboTV.com/Cavs. I don't know what happened there. I forgot how to do the intro. That's okay. Sometimes you just don't have it. And the Cavs tonight were no different. Very shorthanded against the Toronto Raptors. Looked like they had a good shot at it in the first half, but ran out of juice. A man that never runs out of juice is my co-host, Carter Rodriguez. Carter, how you doing, buddy?
That's objectively untrue. Every Chase Down podcast for the last 6 years has been me just saying, hey, Justin, I think we're good to wrap. I'm running out of juice.
You didn't have to let people know that. Come on, that's behind the scenes.
Tired.
That's behind the stuff.
I get sleepy faster than you, as a general note. You're the Energizer Bunny of this podcast. I don't think we'd still be going if it wasn't for you. We need you.
You know what? Sometimes you just need the extra little bit of a boost, like a Naquan Tomlin coming in off the bench. Big thanks to Naquan Tomlin, by the way, for coming on and having a nice interview with me. Really, really enjoyed that. Cool opportunity. For those that didn't see it, just because we posted it on Friday, make sure that you're going on and checking that out in your podcast feed. The interview, the video is also up on the Cavs YouTube channel. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about different things that happened in the past. The Cavs have played 3 games since we last podcasted. Wins over the Indiana Pacers, Los Angeles Clippers, and a loss to the Toronto Raptors. And I guess the first place to start off here, because I don't want to talk about the loss to the Raptors right off the top, because, you know, that always hurts me a little bit. We'll talk about Darius Garland.
Tough for you.
Pardon me?
We can't be getting swept. That's hard. That's not fair to you.
You know what? We apparently can, and we apparently did.
Oh, wow.
You know, the funny thing is, I don't know how much this actually matters, right? With the rosters that have rolled out, all of these games happening so early in the season. But I do know that my biggest annoyance with this is I know there's going to be a Hoop Collective podcast in March where, yeah, the Cavs actually went winless against the Raptors. I think they might have been missing some guys in those games, but, you know, this is just another example that they can't play against a team with length, or there's going to be some larger narrative that they're going to weave that in, and there's going to be the line, I think they may have been missing some guys in these games, and it's going to drive me up the wall. I'm self-aware enough to know that's going to occur.
Well, I know you want to actually talk about this team, but I wanted to thank you, or not thank you, but I wanted to congratulate you. I think this is the least triggered you've been after Raptors losses in some time. Normally, I can really count on having to be the one to talk you off the ledge after a Raptors loss because the circumstances are just too much for your constitution to handle. But you've done a great job, buddy. You're a well-balanced grown-up.
We've made it through the season series. Nobody lost an eye. Nobody lost a limb. You know, those are the wins that I really care about against the Toronto Raptors. But let's start things off before we get to that game, which we will, of course, talk about, because I do think there's a lot of interesting stuff from that game. The biggest news that we had was Darius coming back against the Indiana Pacers, right? We knew that he was day-to-day with that toe contusion. He came back against the Pacers and looked awesome in that one, 20 points and 7 assists versus Indiana. You know, looked like himself, was moving really well. There was that scary moment where it looked like he rolled his ankle stepping on Larry's foot. And of course, it was the foot with the toe. So, you know, I was wondering if it was toe. I think everybody was wondering that. But everything seemed to be fine. There was no questionable designation for him against the Clippers. And I thought he moved well against the Clippers. And that was just an instance of shooting poorly, not playing poorly. But what did you think of Darius kind of making his return to the lineup?
It's just like, it's just so clear he is what the team needs, aesthetically, spiritually. He doesn't have to play well. He wasn't even good against the Clippers, and they put up 120 and looked great. He just makes things happen for this team. He gets into the paint consistently. He turns the corner consistently. He finds bigs slipping to the basket consistently. He creates that spirit that makes everyone excited to cut, because you know you're going to get fed the ball. If you get a deep seal, you're going to get fed the ball, whatever it is. Like, he is really, I mean, I don't know, like, if it, like, we're not there, so it's not fair to say, but he feels like if he's not the heart of the team, he's the spirit of the team. And they have, and I think it's not a surprise that we've seen so much up and down effort when you're missing kind of the spirit of the team, the guy who best embodies who you are at your best. And I do think, Justin, that that's a change. I think in the early versions of this team, the spirit of who they were as a team was as a defensive team that overwhelmed other teams with their size and length and athleticism and and like I felt like the bigs kind of led the identity of the team a little more. I feel like it is this. Like, this is what makes the Cavs special in this iteration. Maybe it's because more teams have gone double big. Maybe it's because there's like 9 new unicorns every year now. But like, what I just feel like, like when Darius has been on the floor this season, I'm like, oh, there you are. This is the team that everyone was picking to win the East. And I haven't often felt that without him.
I think some of that is also an extension of the coach, right? Like when you look at it under JB Bickerstaff, it makes sense that the Cavs would be a defense first orientated team. Whereas Kenny Atkinson, like, anytime he talks about Darius, it's very clear how he feels, right? Like, he is an offensive minded coach for sure. Not to say it's at the expense of the defense. The defense has been better than the offense so far this season overall. I do think that there is a real desire for this team to be a good defensive team. And I think the fact that we're seeing experimentation on the defensive end in terms of how aggressive they are, despite it not being an issue last year, I think that shows, hey, we recognize something in our opponents that we wanted to take. We want to find ways to make them uncomfortable the way they made our offense feel uncomfortable. But I do agree that, the team, at least on the offensive end, goes with Darius. And I think that's always been one of the interesting things.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I want to challenge that a little bit. Not even challenge, but like lean in on it. Because you said at least on the offensive end goes with Darius. This team goes on the offensive end.
Yeah.
Like, that's where their bread is buttered now. And it is, Justin. Like, that's when that's when they feel unfair, is when they're scoring every possession. And like, I think the defense right now is much more of a means to an end part of their identity. Like, it's cool when they chain together stops, because it turns, scoring on 4 out of 5 possessions into a avalanche. But it's the scoring 4 of the 5 possessions that makes this team special right this second.
I agree with that. I just think it's a little more stark because of the situation that we have with our guards when Darius isn't in the lineup, right? Like, I think even recently in some of the games that Darius has missed, when we had Craig Porter Jr. out there playing a more prominent role, you felt it a little more. Like, this team was getting downhill more. I think Tyrese Proctor has done a pretty good job with that. I think if you had a more normal backup point guard situation, or at least a more experienced one that does run pick and roll and stuff like that, I don't think it would be as stark. And I'm saying this as obviously, when the leader of the Darius Hive here, but at the same time, I do think that is an aspect of that. But I agree with you, right? Like, this team, what we associate with Cavs basketball is the offense now, right? Like, it's that beautiful movement, and it obviously is a lot different when Darius is in the lineup. The Cavs take 27% of their shots at the rim when Darius isn't playing. It's up to 30% when he is playing. That's a very large jump. Their half-court offense without Darius this season is in the 40th percentile. It's in the 96th percentile when he's playing. And if you don't like any of those stats and you just want to go what's their the playing offensive rating, it's over 130 when Darius is on the court this season. Like the offense has ripped, whether it's the half court, whether it's transition. I mentioned it as well. We were discussing this a little bit before the podcast, but their offense off of live rebounds, 98th percentile when Darius is out there, right? Like it across the board that it is a whole lot more different. And we talked about it being weird last year because it was very clear that Evan was the most impactful player on the defensive end. When you looked at all the numbers, Darius was the most impactful player on the offensive end. But then both of us agree Donovan Mitchell is the best player on this team. And Donovan Mitchell empowering those guys is a big part of why they were able to have that success. It's a really, really interesting dynamic. And I think it just goes to show you how dependent each one of these guys is on one another. I don't think Darius can do what he does if you don't have the attention of a Donovan Mitchell there. I don't think Mobley is as effective when Darius isn't out there. I don't think, I don't think Donovan's as effective without those guys out there, right? And it's all kind of cyclical when it comes to this team, which is one of the cool aspects of it. But it is also frustrating when you have a game like tonight where, hey, we do have our 2 All-NBA players out there, and it didn't feel that way.
Yeah, and again, I want to get into that game. I have some thoughts. There were certainly some bright spots, but the one thing I'll say about Darius, to add to your very good stat polls about how it's not just the aesthetics of the game, it's that they are, by every metric, they're just a lot better when he's been out there. Justin, he's not even playing well. He's shooting 34.5% from the field, and 6 assists, which is like whatever. But six assists to 2.6 turnovers isn't even that good of a ratio. So like he's not even playing well, and he's completely changes the way the team looks. I shudder to think how it looks when he actually is able to chain 3 or 4 games in a row. And like, man, does it feel like the Cavs are? I hope it feels like the Cavs are moving through the gauntlet stretches of their season with these back-to-backs. Obviously, they got 3 days off going into Friday's game, which is great.
Some guys have 4 days off.
Yeah, some guys. So like, but like if he starts finding his footing, then I really do think you're going to start seeing this team look a little bit more unfair, like we are used to seeing them look.
Yeah, and that's been one of the kind of early season trends. Is it does seem like there is some positive regression that's coming their way, right? Like it's not like the offense has been terrible overall. It still has been in the top half of the league. The defense has been good, but all those kind of small sample size, how are these going to normalize type stats? A lot of them indicate, hey, the Cavs are probably going to get better at converting their wide open jumpers. They haven't done a lot of that this year. Now, I think some of that may have to do with who's been taking some of those shots, right? Like Lonzo Ball's been struggling with his outside shot. Tonight was definitely an example of that, where he hit his first couple, and then I think he just was feeling it and feeling like it was his night.
Missed his next 10.
And the rim kept saying no. You have guys like Luke Travers and even a Naquan Tomlin getting those shots up that normally wouldn't be in those positions. So that might have something to do with it. But I do think it's evident how much better the shot quality is with Darius out there, right? And I think it's easier to even get Donovan low effort downhill rim attacks and things like that. It just puts everybody in a more healthy spot. And really good point that Danny Cunningham made on his recent podcast was he's kind of excited to see what DeAndre Hunter looks like with a fully healthy Darius, because last season after Hunter joined the team, it was that stretch where Donovan couldn't get anything to go down, Darius couldn't get anything to go down, Ty was exhausted. Like both of those guys, Ty and Donovan had basically a week or 2 off in March to kind of get a reset there. We didn't really get to see what that looks like. And from an offensive standpoint, given how Hunter's been playing, despite not shooting that great from 3, I am excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I thought that was a great shout. I listened to that episode as well. So shouts to Danny for making a very good point, because yeah, I mean, DeAndre is a guy who's supposed to be a play finisher, not a play starter, and like having better table setting on the floor more consistently is meaningful. I do think you probably need to look at a guy like Lonzo and be like, hey man, if we're not getting good looks, like that's it's a little concerning. However, if like Lonzo is just consistently paired with one of Donovan or Darius, which is like kind of the original thesis of this team, if he was going to be out there, then maybe it looks a little bit better, and you don't have as, I mean, I don't think Lonzo wants to take 15 shots, generally.
No.
No.
That's not his game.
I think it's more a byproduct of kind of the amount of talent they had on the floor and kind of where they could find field goal attempts on certain possessions. But
I've felt like he's been playing better recently. Like I felt like his minutes have been more impactful.
I think he looks better when he plays with Darius.
Yeah.
Like I think that's kind of, I think that, like, I might be being a little reductive, but I kind of don't think I am. Like, I think because as we've seen, even though Donovan's been absolutely freaking electric, there are games, tonight was one of them, where he doesn't really want to get in the paint too much, and doesn't want to empty the tank on the second half of a back-to-back in Toronto with a 3-game break coming up. So, like, then it's like, all right, Chris Livingston, can you be our paint touch guy? So it's
sometimes yes,
and in this game, yes, sometimes yes. But like I don't know how much of a problem it is. I mean, like, because like, it's like goes back to the old, like, you don't practice screwed over. Like, you don't build a team with the presumption that one of Darius or Donovan isn't going to be available when it matters, because if you do, you're screwed. But like, yeah, you just really feel. I feel like you feel Darius's absence as much as you feel his presence sometimes.
Yeah, and I know I've said a bunch of times that Darius is impactful, but he's not LeBron. But I think it is instructive. Like, when you think back to those teams, when LeBron wasn't out there, that was one of the major storylines, right? Of, hey, how come we can't get it working with Kyrie and Kevin out there, kind of thing, right? Like, it didn't feel like Cavs basketball. And I am not comparing the two, but the similarity is when someone that is such a large portion of who your identity is, how much you actually run your offense through is off the floor, that there's always going to be a natural drop off. And I was kind of thinking that there wouldn't be as much this year because you're going through a training camp where, Darius is taking part in some of it, but he's not an active member there. He's not part of what you're practicing for game day. I thought that transition was going to be a little smoother, but then there's been other injuries. There's been other, hills that they've had to climb here. And you talked about how this is probably the least bothered I've been for a post-game Toronto loss podcast, which, let's be fair, it's been a few years. I'm a different person now. I've changed. I've evolved. We normally don't lose to the Raptors anymore. But I think some of it, and some of why I haven't been super concerned with this start, is I believe in the top 6 of this team. And even on a night like tonight, I feel really good about the bench players that have played better than I expected, even as an optimist, right? Like, Jalen Tyson looks like a player. Like, he made some mistakes tonight, particularly on the defensive end, but he has been a lot better than I expected. Sam Merrill has been a lot better than I expected. Craig Porter Jr. has been giving them good minutes. Tyrese Proctor has been giving them good minutes. Like, all of that stuff makes me feel encouraged, because fundamentally, I believe that when the top 6 of this team is locked in and healthy, I believe in what they could do. Now, for people that are more skeptical, I understand that the start of this season isn't going to be hitting the same. And we'll certainly get to Evan Mobley, who has really been struggling this season relative to our expectations. But that is one of the most encouraging things for me, because the rest of it I can kind of write off as, hey, it's November and there's a lot of time to figure this out.
Yeah, I really do feel I feel really, really good about what the best guy on the team has given us this year. I think Donovan might be playing some of his
He's been
best
so
basketball
good.
as a Cavalier. And even when he's not playing a style that I love, the shot making has been so outrageous that it hasn't much mattered. I think he's given you a lot. Even in a game like tonight where I don't think he played very well. 17 points on 20 shots is not good. Still had 8 assists to 2 turnovers and Toronto was throwing everything they had at him in that fourth quarter.
Yep.
To say, and it was going to be a pull-up 3 or nothing for him.
Pretty much.
With the amount of bodies they were throwing his direction. I feel really, really good about the very top guy on the roster. I feel really, really good about 5 through 12. But 2, 3, and 4 for various reasons.
Yep.
I mean,
Can Darius stay healthy? Can Evan get out of this funk?
Yeah, there are real concerns here. You've got Darius not being able to get on the floor very much this season, and we've had a scare in like 2 of his 5 games where we've had to hold our breath, and then you've got Evan, who is just kind of in crisis, I think, on the offensive side of the ball right now, and in some ways on the glass. And then Jarrett has definitely had a very up and down season. He has not had the season he had last year at all. So, it's funny. You're right. Like, I believe in all these guys and have for, years. It wouldn't make sense in a suboptimal season so far from a kind of a supporting cast perspective to be in panic mode, but I do kind of just need to see it this season. I got to see Evan put 5 or 6 games in a row where he looks special on the offensive end. And that's not 35-point outings or anything like that. It's just like take over for 2 to 3 minutes at a time kind of situation. So I don't know. Like, I really do. Before we talk about Evan, I do want to talk about these supporting cast players, because like Naquan Tomlin was a demon against the Clippers. Yeah. And honestly, dude, we've spent a lot of time talking about the end of the rotation, the 9 and 10 spot in the rotation, kind of being a 3-man race between Jalen Tyson, Dean Wade, and Larry Nance Jr. Might be a 4-man race, my friend. And actually, really, I think Jalen's just won the ninth spot at this point. And
I think he's the first wing off. Yeah, I think he's the first wing off the bench in the playoffs. Like, I don't know if he's going to be ready for that, right? Like,
I think Max will be the first wing off the bench in the playoffs.
I'm demoting him to guard now.
Okay, that's nice.
But yeah, I'm demoting him to guard now. And talking about Lonzo and how things might look differently, when you have both of Sam and Max to play shooting guard and then Lonzo playing at small forward, I'm saying that just to get you to roll your eyes. But playing alongside Darius or Donovan at the guard spot, like, I like that from a lineup continuity standpoint. I think you can do a lot of things there. But I also think when you are fully healthy and you have that type of situation, Jalen might just eat into those minutes, right? Like on a night like tonight where Lonzo doesn't have it and the shot's going up a little too quick. If this roster is fully healthy, I think Jalen Tyson's just playing small forward, and you have Sam or Max out there alongside them. And I think Jalen's absolutely earning it. Now, there was a couple kind of loud breakdowns. There was one time, I think it was Jacoby Walter with the ball in transition, and Lonzo was like pointing at the floor, hey, like, pick up, man, stop ball in the spot. And he stepped off to cover kind of a shooter coming in from the wing, and the Raptor player got the free layup. That's bad, right? Like, there are still some of those lapses on the defensive end, but I think they're becoming less frequent. They are loud when they do occur, but I feel like he has shown growth on that end of the floor.
A very nice finishing game for him, which he has not always been reliable with this season.
I was going to say, I really like kind of the long strides that he had tonight. I thought he was under control and seemed like he had a plan when he was doing that. Whereas some of those early season attempts, you're getting the 1-2, you're getting the Euro step, but there wasn't really a plan of how he was going to go
balance.
No, he seemed like he was on balance and he was reading what the defender was doing the whole time. I was really impressed with that. Obviously, the outside shot has been good. I heard on the broadcast tonight that he's top 10 in 3-point percentage in the league this season, and it's on a decent volume too. So
Yeah.
I agree with you, man. Like I think Jalen Tyson has absolutely kind of earned that spot, and you could
and I really
probably argue whether it's 8th or 9th, right? Because
Yeah.
I think you got the top 6. I think Sam absolutely is 7 at this point.
Max definitely. I'm sorry, Max. It counts in that. Sorry.
Yeah, he'd be in that top 6. But after that, like I think it's Sam and it's Jalen in terms of guys that I actually trust the most this season.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. And then then you look at your backup bigs. I mean, Tomlin. I think it's tough with Dean because Dean is never going to be a box score guy, and the jumper hasn't looked great. But the defense still is very, very good on a team that has not done well at the point of attack. He's been one of their old reliables.
Really good
there.
on D against the Clippers.
Yes,
really good on D.
Yeah. So, but like you could put Tomlin's per minute production up against any of those bigs.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he can't even play in the playoffs right now as a two-way guy. But it's just, I mean, I'm at the point where I'll be really, really surprised if he's not ending the season as a full-time member of this roster. Something else would have had to happen, I got to imagine, for that not to happen.
And we heard it on media day, right? Like when Jalen Tyson was talking to us, what are the end of bench guys supposed to do this season? Push from the bottom. And I think that's what we're seeing from these young guys, right? Like they're coming to play. Naquan Tomlin's coming to play. Greg Porter Jr. is coming to play. Jalen Tyson certainly has come to play this year. And I think that pressure is a good thing. And I'm happy to see Larry, give them good minutes tonight. I thought he played well and he's moving better than he was before. That's an encouraging sign. But I do think having optionality is important, right? Because the situations where you're going to Naquan Tomlin versus Dean Wade are going to be different, right? Like you're having Dean out there for defense and responsible, not going to foul. He kind of helps you on the glass, even though he individually isn't a strong rebounder for his position. Just kind of the lineup data has always been better on the glass with him. But Naquan Tomlin, like you send him to create chaos, man. Like those long arms. He talked about in our interview, learning where he's allowed to apply physicality and what he can get away with and that sort of thing. And that's one of those things, right, where we've talked about how the Cavs are approaching this as an experimental season, but sometimes we feel like what we're seeing on a night-to-night basis isn't experimenting. It's, hey, it's November and it's a long season and we're kind of running at 70% here, right? Like that's not an experiment. That is, we're not prioritizing the regular season in the same way. Yeah. What they're giving Naquan Tomlin, that's experimenting. That is something that could potentially pay dividends. And honestly, I'd be surprised. Like I'd be surprised if he doesn't end up on that kind of Craig Porter Jr., Dean Wade type contract of, hey, congratulations. So you are an alum now of the Charge, and we're going to give you an opportunity here with the Cavs. I was thinking
about that this morning. I was wondering if there's any way to figure out like what team leads the league in converted two-way contracts, because it feels like the Cavs have a very good track record here, of guys that you really can say like, hey, they've earned their way from the Charge to the main club and are actively helpful and on good team-friendly deals. Like it's good management at the margins. And yeah, I mean, really up and down. I've been really pleased with how the bottom of the roster has been performing. I think Larry, to your point, the box scores aren't popping, and he'll still have an ugly miss every now and again. But I think he's looked a lot more comfortable the last few games after some pretty rough games, that knocked him out of the rotation. I thought Livingston gave them very good minutes and physicality in his first action. I think Luke Travers has given you some of his best minutes as a Cavalier these last couple games. And then, Thomas Bryant, like I think has like
I like it.
I like it too.
I'm sorry. I
do too.
really like his minutes.
I do too, man. I want to
It's
just
under people's skin. It's great.
I just like that what he brings is a little different. I like that. I honestly think the Cavs let him down a couple times tonight, where in his stints where he got some deep post position and had his hands up, and they just kind of didn't get it to him.
There was a fair bit of that tonight for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Brian's been very helpful in his spot minutes, and like I've definitely thought he could earn some. And then I mean Proctor, bad game tonight from the field, which made it a little tough, but overall has shown you a lot more than even I was expecting from him to start off. So really
honestly,
happy.
I thought tonight was a shooting poorly, not playing poorly game.
Yeah,
like
I
liked what he did.
Yeah. So I overall very, very happy with the bottom of the bench. It's just really the stars got to get in sync.
Yeah, hey, and teams move fastest when everybody's in sync, Carter, because Zoom Workplace helps keep meetings, chats, docs, and more together so your workflow is like a perfect play. Keep work moving and zoom ahead with Zoom Workplace. Thank you for the nice little lob.
You're welcome, brother.
I forget who threw the lob to Donovan, where Donovan was just very clearly not into it tonight.
I don't know.
Oh man, it was on a fast break. I forget who it was, but it was one of those plays I made note of. I just didn't actually jot it down. I thought tonight was overall not the worst watch. Like obviously I hate losing to the Raptors. I thought in the first half the Cavs actually did come out with quite a bit of effort. I was really pleased with how hard they were playing. I thought they did a relatively good job of cutting and trying to find cutters and kind of give and go actions to get going downhill. But the one thing that they kind of consistently struggled with tonight was that Toronto was going to send two to the ball anytime you turned your back to the basket. This was a team that you were going to have to beat with the pass consistently, not with the dribble. And it felt like in the second half in particular, they tried to beat Toronto with the dribble rather than the pass, right? Like in the first half, anytime Evan Mobley turned his back to the basket, the Raptors were doubling in that situation. Not necessarily because, hey, Mobley's a scoring threat that we have to double. It's, hey, he's turning his back to the basket too far away from the basket. He's not a scoring threat at this point, and we have an opportunity to generate a steal here. They got quite a few members of the Cavs on that type of defensive strategy throughout the night. And it was just one of those things where Cavs demonstrated they knew what they had to do to beat that kind of defense. They just did not consistently apply it.
Yeah, and I think Evan is a real culprit here. 4 assists, 4 turnovers. Only gets up 7 shots in this game. Only 4 2-point field goals. Only gets the line for on 1 possession. Made both his free throws, which is nice. As he had dipped below 60% on the season going into this game. But man, I gotta tell you, it's just kind of. I'm feeling a little concerned, man. He just has not been able to find his way, and it's like you start the season and he's doing way too much starting, and like I will say, I don't think he was either setting himself up or being well set up to succeed in the way he was being used to start the year, I just don't think Evan is the kind of player that you want to spam pick and roll from 27 feet from the basket and see if you can dribble into something. But then, like Darius comes back, spoon feeds him some easy buckets, and that feels nice, but like that kind of can't be all that it is. Like, and that's where I'm getting a little concerned is like they just haven't been able, or he has not been able to find a way to consistently impact the game on the offensive end of the ball this year.
Yeah.
Like it can't be the Raptors are throwing 4 bodies at Donovan Mitchell when you're down 4 or 6 points in the fourth quarter. And like, it's like, and they're going to, everyone else is touching the ball. It's like, Chris Livingston, what do you got for us? Naquan, what do you got for us? Because if they throw it to Evan, it's going to, like an ISO against Scotty Barnes or Jakob Pertl or Sandro Mamakashvili. I can't say that name.
Disrespectful.
I just can't say it. I'm sorry.
Just go Mamu. I got to give the Raptors broadcast credit for this. When they yell "Mamu said knock you out" after a made three with the way he's been shooting this year, that is pretty good.
But like him going up against any of those three guys that were on him in this game didn't bear fruit. Like that wasn't an option really. And you can criticize engagement, you can criticize, but like what I feel more concerned about is I just don't know what the plan is to get him cleaner and easier looks at the basket that are somewhere between a catch and shoot three, a spoon-fed dunk that like that guys who are far less skilled than Evan can finish, like the dunk, the plays that Darius was given, like guys like Daniel Gafford can do that, like there are a lot of bigs who can flush and flash into that empty space and get a dunk with a great point guard setting them up. So like what is the look that feels good and advantageous that is not the spoon feed or the catch and shoot three? Because like I just haven't really consistently seen them. They haven't figured out a button to press. It's like, is it inverted pick and roll? Sometimes it's not. Is it big pick and roll? Sometimes it's not. Is it trying to get a switch and trying to mash in the post? Sometimes it's not. Like they just have not found anything that they can reliably count on, and like as such, on a night where the dribble creation is really limited with all that playmaking resting in this game, when there isn't another vertical threat like Jarrett to kind of suck up attention near the rim, you're left with a 7 field goal attempt game in 31 minutes.
Yeah. And I think the important distinction and the important thing you said is I haven't seen it consistently, right? Because we've seen it in flashes. We've seen it sometimes, but there's nothing recognizable that it's like, this is our go-to. This is how we're getting Evan going. And I think tonight was a bit of an extreme circumstance because if you had to ask me where Evan is at his most brilliant, it's always been kind of the short roll, decision-making, attacking in those situations. And I think that is the type of context where the improved handle and finishing touch and that sort of thing, I think that is where you'd see it more. I think it's tougher to get to that stuff. One, when you don't have great pick and roll ball handling, and two, when the defense doesn't have to be honest. And there was a lot of possessions tonight where, as much as I really enjoy what all those guys we talked about before were bringing, the defense was not respecting Naquan Tomlin. It was not respecting Lonzo Ball. It was not respecting Chris Livingston. It wasn't respecting Tyrese Proctor. Wasn't respecting Luke Travers. It made it really, really easy to muck up and take away the middle of the floor. And that's where Evan's going to do most of his work. I agree with you, though. And I'm really curious if we could like go to some alternate reality where we come into this season where the Evan we saw at the start of the year that was very confident and aggressive, was taking jump shots and making them, was going 12 for 12 at the free throw line. What would Evan with that confidence look like if this team were fully healthy and Darius was also out there getting him some of those easier buckets? Like, what does that kind of plan of attack look like? Because I think that is something that we're going to find out at some point this year. Because right now, I feel like the biggest thing is confidence in the jumper. And I was actually encouraged to start this game where it's like, okay, he hits his first 2 3-pointers. He knocks down both shots at the free throw line. Maybe we can get him going here. And there were possessions where, just like you said, where Thomas Bryant had deep position. I thought there were possessions where Evan had good position and the ball wasn't getting to him. At the same time, he's not calling for the ball as assertively as you want, right? Like when you're trying to get to that top 10 player level, a lot of that responsibility is on your shoulders. You need to find ways to go out and make it happen. And right now, it's almost like he doesn't know where to apply the energy to go out and make it happen, right? And I think that's getting at what you were getting to there about what is that consistent thing that we're going to go to for those possessions. I still think from an offensive scoring standpoint, it's going to be Donovan and Darius ahead of him, but there does need to be a healthy Evan Mobley offensive option here, something that works in tandem with those guys, something that we can go to when they're not out there to help get him going and get him comfortable. That hasn't materialized yet this season.
Yeah. And like, I think the other thing, I don't want to pile on, is second half of a back-to-back. And, he's still been very, very good defensively. But what else I'm seeing is more of these, just kind of these sparse box scores, man. It's weird. Where, 5 rebounds total, no offensive rebounds, 1 block, no steals. Didn't feel like he was getting a lot of deflections. Like, it feels, I don't know, it kind of feels like the offense is impacting the other parts of his game right now.
I agree.
I did a quick poll. He's played in 18 games this year. 11 of them, he has had 6 or less defensive rebounds. And like that kind of stuff can't go away. If they're gonna be big, especially, by the way, for all these people who have just been hooting and hollering about how Evan needs to be the full-time center. Well, we can't do that if we're gonna be getting 4 or 5 defensive rebounds in 30 to 35 minutes, because they just can't really, they can't accommodate it. Like they need that level of physicality. They need him to grab these boards so he can start fast breaks as the ball handler. Like we spent a lot of time talking about that as as an option that can put a lot of pressure on teams. Doesn't happen if you don't get defensive rebounds. Certainly not contested ones that you can go dribble into transition with an advantage. So we just got to see it, dude. And I believe that it's going to happen. It's just weird that it's gone, nearly a quarter of the season. We're almost there. We're almost at, at the end of the first quarter of the season. And it just hasn't, I don't know what to expect from Evan on a night-to-night basis right now. And it's really weird because that's been one of the things that I can count on the most in the last 3 years. So I want to see it turn around. Here's one last thing I'll note that I don't think we've talked about. Maybe we have, and I'm just a bad listener. His favorite partner on the floor is Max Strus. And he hasn't gotten to play with that guy. And short of the star option of Darius getting into action with him, Max is that guy for him because you can run a 4-3 pick and roll with Max, and Max will set a nasty screen. Has a little bit more physicality than someone like Sam can. The dribble handoff game, or
even more than
downhill.
DeAndre, right? He's smaller than DeAndre, but you feel him more.
Yeah, he's a little nastier. So that is one important caveat. Now, with all that said, because I can already hear the YouTube chat yelling at me, Evan Mobley's performance cannot be defined by Max Strus. He needs to figure it out. But it is an important data point of the guys who make Evan's life easy consistently have not been on the floor with Evan this season. And that does matter.
And I feel like what you were talking about before about kind of the change in team identity, right? Where the Cavs feel like the Cavs when it's clicking on the offensive end. It almost feels like he's figuring out where he fits within that too, because so much of what the focal point of his offseason and what the media day conversations and everything was the offensive transformation, right? Making that happen. That seems to be the focal point. Whereas in the past, it was, okay, I'm going to go win Defensive Player of the Year. And my stats are improving, and you see now I'm shooting 37% from 3. That's terrific. I career best playmaking per 36, 22, 11, and 4, right? He was terrific last year, but that came secondary, right? That came naturally, that came in the flow. And it also led to those possessions where he'd get neglected on the offensive end, where they weren't getting him the easy touches. I think we're now at that point again where he's trying to find out where he fits in. And I agree with you. I do think sometimes that other stuff is falling on the wayside. because so much of the effort and so much of kind of mental energy is about getting it to click and getting it to work on the offensive end.
Yeah, I really hope he finds his way here soon. I think Darius will help, but like, if I'm the coaching staff, that's my number one priority with what little time I have to evaluate kind of how to help the team is like, what do we got to do to get like, let's just sit and watch an hour of Evan Mobley tape, of good Evan Mobley offensive tape from last year, figure out what's different within the geometry of the floor, figure out where he was getting catches, and start trying to funnel him into those spots, because he wasn't just a dump off merchant last year. He wasn't just a guy who just got dunks, lurking along the baseline.
The self-creation went way up last year.
So like, it just feels like a regression right now. Again, I mean, he's still 7 percentage points lower from 2 going into this game, and like, that just kind of can't be the case.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Well, hopefully having 3 days off here is going to give the team an opportunity to practice, right? Like, it's going to give them a chance to do a quick little reset.
Yeah,
right?
I wonder if they'll just fly straight to Atlanta and like post up there, or because it is a road to a road with 3 days off, so it's kind of a weird one.
Yeah, I imagine they'll probably go home, but I don't know what the logistics are for that. But it does give them a chance to do a little reset, right? Like, they've played more games than any team in the NBA so far this season. They've come fast and furious, and sometimes when you're a little bit of a rut, you need to have that reset, right? So hopefully they do have that opportunity. But I do think overall, where the team is trending on the offensive and defensive end is going in the positive direction, right? But this season was always going to be defined. This regular season was always going to be defined by Evan Mobley's progress. So I think that is how we weigh things more than anything else. So I assume you agree with that, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's, like, again, I really feel fine about, if Darius just is going to have a season where he just is going to be hurt a lot, like, that's scary, but not something that I can spend a lot of time angsting about. Generally,
there's not a lot of analysis to be had there.
Generally, I feel like Jarrett will, at the worst, go as the team goes. There's not that much for me angst there.
Now, Jarrett is a guy, we're talking about, hey, the guy can't be like spoon-fed easy baskets at the rim.
Jarrett absolutely can.
Yeah, Jarrett, you could absolutely get those spoon-fed easy baskets from Darius all day long. Yeah. I'm perfectly fine with that, and I understand you not being as productive without that. Although he has actually been pretty productive. It's just kind of those low point games.
Yeah,
I digress.
But yeah, so like, if you're saying, Carter, what are you anxious about? It's like, hey, I don't know what to count. I don't know what to add. I don't know what I'm going to get from Evan on a night-to-night basis right now. And that is the most concerning thing I can say about a team that's had a perfectly fine start. 12-7 isn't something to be, we don't gotta panic. But like, that has to get resolved for me to feel really, really good going into the part of the season that we all really, really care about.
Totally understand that. Completely fair. 3 games, as I said, between the last time we podcasted and this podcast. There are 0 games between now and our next podcast. So what a perfect time to do a mailbag. If you are listening right now in the YouTube chat, don't leave comments there. I don't think we can even view the live chat after the fact.
We can, Justin. You know so little.
I know so little. But anyone listening, you can send your questions into chasedownpod@gmail.com. We appreciate you guys sending in the questions there. You can tweet at us, chasedownpod. Get us your questions there. We appreciate that. If you're in our Discord, of course, we will be bugging you for the questions as well. But perfect time to have a mailbag. So big thanks to everyone that tuned in live on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. Click that notification bell so you know when we're going live. If you're listening via podcast and you want to support us, leave us a rating, leave a review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and help cook those books. If you want to be part of Chase Down's exclusive Discord chat, send a screenshot of the video to chasedownpod@gmail.com. However you choose to support us, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are staying safe out there. Until next time, go Cavs.